directions carefully to make sure your vote counts. And if you've already voted, then you've got to help your friends and family make a plan to vote. Take them with you if you vote early or if you vote in person on Election Day, because this election requires every single one of us to do our part.
His name is Hasan.
And what we do these next 13 days will matter for decades to come. Now, last time I was in Philadelphia, I was at the Constitution Center. And I was delivering a speech for the Democratic National Convention this year. And I said during that speech, I've sat in the Oval Office with both of the men who are running for president. And they are very different people. I explained that I never thought Donald Trump would embrace my vision or continue my policies, but I did hope, for the sake of the country, that he might show some interest in taking the job seriously. But it hasn't happened. He hasn't shown any interest in doing the work or helping anybody but himself and his friends, or treating the presidency like a reality show that he can use to get attention. And by the way, even then his TV ratings are down. So you know that upsets him. But the thing is, this is not a reality show, this is reality. And the rest of us have had to live with the consequences of him proving himself incapable of taking the job seriously. At least 220,000 Americans have died. More than 100,000 small businesses have closed. Millions of jobs are gone. Our proud reputation around the world is in tatters. Presidents up for re-election usually ask if the country is better off than it was 4 years ago. Well, I'll tell you one thing. 4 years ago, you'd be tailgating here at the Link instead of watching a speech from your cars. The only people truly better off than they were 4 years ago are the billionaires who got his tax cuts. Right now, as we speak, Trump won't even extend relief to the millions of families who are having trouble paying the rent or putting food on the table because of this pandemic.
Dude, unstoppable.
But he's been doing all right by himself. As it turns out, this was just reported in the last 48 hours.
His name is Hasan.
We know that he continues to do business with China because he's got a secret Chinese bank account. How is that possible? How is that possible? A secret Chinese bank account. Listen, can you imagine if I had had a secret Chinese bank account when I was running for re-election? You think Fox News might have been a little concerned about that? They would have called me Beijing Barry.
Good one.
It is not a great idea
to
have a president
he's
who
killing
owes a bunch of money to people overseas. That's not a good idea.
He's spitting.
Of the taxes Donald Trump pays, he may be sending more to foreign governments than he pays in the United States. His first year in the White House, he only paid $750 in federal income tax. Listen, my first job was at a Baskin-Robbins when I was 15 years old.
Okay, this motherfucker is spitting,
paid
dude.
more taxes that year working at a dispensing ice cream. How is that possible?
His name is Hasan.
How many people here paid less than that? It's possible, just possible now, that if you are living high on the hog and you only pay $750 in taxes, that maybe, just maybe, he might not know what working people are going through here in Pennsylvania.
Oh, fuck That's exactly what I've been saying.
We
Dude,
cannot afford
every
4
part of
more
this
years
rhetoric.
of this, Philadelphia. But the good news is,
He's hitting every
right now,
fucking
you can choose
line,
change.
line for line, perfectly.
right now you can vote.
He is
For my
drone
friend Joe Biden.
striking Donald Trump right now.
And his running mate, Kamala Harris, as the next president and vice president of the United States of America.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house.
I don't know. Did Obama for a second mistake Donald Trump for a
Joe's
village in Yemen
no
or something?
stranger
Like,
to
what
it.
is happening
He's a
right
native
now?
son. Scrappy kid from Scranton. You know him.
Surgical precision.
And you know he knows you. But let me tell you how I came to know him and how I came to love him. 12 years ago when I chose
Dude, who's
Joe
this
Biden
guy?
as vice
Yeah, he should be
president,
running for president, dude.
as my
This
vice presidential
guy sounds pretty good.
running mate.
He's not that
I
old.
didn't know Joe all
Seems
that
to
well.
be.
We had served in the Senate together, but we weren't super close. He and I came from different places. We came from different generations. But I came to admire Joe as a man who has learned early on to treat everybody he meets with dignity and respect. Living by the words his parents taught him. No one's better than you, Joe, but you're better than nobody. And that empathy, that decency, that belief that everybody counts, that's who Joe is. That's who he'll be. And I can tell you the presidency doesn't change who you are, it reveals who you are. And Joe has shown himself to be a friend of working people. For 8 years, Joe was the last one in the room when I faced a big decision. He made me a better president, and he's got the character and experience to make us a better country. And he and Kamala are going to be in the fight, not for themselves, but for every single one of us. Look,
God, those
I
comments
get
are
that
amazing.
this president wants full credit for the economy he inherited and zero blame for the pandemic that he ignored. But you know what? The job doesn't work that way. Tweeting at the television doesn't fix things. Making stuff up doesn't make people's lives better. You've got to have a plan. You've got to put in the work. And along with the experience to get things done, Joe Biden has concrete plans and policies that will turn our vision of a better, fairer, stronger country into a reality. We literally left this White House a pandemic playbook that would have shown them how to respond before the virus reached our shores.
It's so good.
They probably used it to, I don't know, prop up a wobbly table somewhere. We don't know where that playbook went. 8 months into this pandemic, cases are rising again across this country. Donald Trump isn't suddenly going to protect all of us. He can't even take the basic steps to protect himself.
Oh, you're such a big man, Hasan.
Just last night, he complained up in Erie that the pandemic made him go back to work. I'm quoting here. He was upset.
Whores in this
But
house.
the pandemic's
There's some
made him
whores
go
in this
back to
house.
work.
There's some whores in this house.
If he'd actually been working the whole time, it never would have gotten this bad.
Oh, you're
So look,
such a big
here's the truth.
man, Hasan.
Damn, I'm fucking
I
libbed
wanna be
up,
honest
dude.
here.
Science is on
This
my side, and
pandemic
would
would have
like
been
to see how
challenging
your
for
hair
any
would fare
president.
in a blizzard.
But this idea that somehow this White House has done anything
This is good as
but
fuck,
completely
dude.
screw this up.
God, he's so
It's
good
just not
for a fucking war criminal.
I'll give you a very
It
specific
is truly
example.
remarkable
Korea
how charismatic
identified
he
its
is.
First case
Imagine that guy
at the
running for
same time
president.
that the United States did. At the same time, their per capita death toll is just
This is
1.3%
a
of what ours
deranged
is.
Pervert.
Love you,
In
Arjan.
Canada, it's just 39% of what ours is. Other countries are still struggling with the pandemic, but they're not doing as bad as we are because they've got a government that's actually been paying attention. And that means lives lost. And that means an economy that doesn't
His
work.
name is Hasan.
And
Thanks
just
for the
yesterday,
streams.
when asked if he'd do anything differently, Trump said, not much. Really? Not much? Nothing
His
you can
name
think of
is
that could have
Hasan.
helped some people keep their loved ones alive?
We forgot,
So Joe's
dude.
not going to screw up testing.
We forgot
He's not gonna call
motherfuckers could be
science
this
an idiot.
eloquent and
He's not
funny
gonna host
and
a
charismatic.
super spreader event at
We're
the
so
White House.
used to the gerontocracy of Nancy Pelosi,
get
Chuck
this
Schumer,
pandemic
the
under control
unlikable,
with a plan
elitist,
to make
out-of-touch
testing
Democrats
free
that
and
we
widely
forgot
available, to
that
get a
motherfuckers can
vaccine
roll their
to
sleeves
every American
like
cost-free,
Obama's doing very carefully
make sure our
and
frontline
come out
heroes
and do a
never
tight
ask other
5
countries for the
in a
equipment
way
they
that makes Donald Trump look like an idiot.
need. His plan will guarantee paid sick leave for workers and parents affected by the pandemic, and make sure that the small businesses that hold our communities together and employ millions of Americans can reopen safely.
Most presidents were as charismatic as
You know,
ObaBAE, by the way.
Donald Trump likes to claim he built this economy. But
For those of you
America
asking, like, were
created
other presidents this
1.5
charismatic?
million
Yeah.
more jobs in the last 3 years of the Obama-Biden administration than in the first 3 years of the Trump-Pence administration.
By the
How
way,
you
this
figure
is
that? And that was before he.
this is unrelated, but oh fuck, I gotta do an ad break at the top of the hour, obviously.
Now,
Also,
he did inherit
also
the
follow my
longest
Instagram at
streak of
Hasan
job growth
Piker.
in
I'm about
American
to hit
history.
400,000 followers on there.
But just like everything else he inherited, he messed it up.
This is a deranged.
The
pervert.
economic damage he inflicted by botching the pandemic response means he will be the first president since Herbert Hoover to actually lose jobs.
His name
Joe's
is
got a plan to
Hasan.
create 10 million.
Y'all
good,
are slacking.
clean
You're not
energy
reminding me.
jobs
Top of the hour every
as part
hour.
of a historic $2 trillion investment to fight climate change, to secure environmental justice. And
His name
he'll
is
pay for
Hasan.
it by rolling back that tax cut for billionaires. And Joe sees this moment not just as a chance to get back to where we
This
were,
is a deranged.
but to finally
pervert.
make
Piker.
long overdue changes so that our economy actually makes life a little easier for everybody. The waitress trying to raise her kid on her own. The student trying to figure out how to pay for next
This is a
semester's
deranged.
classes.
Pervert.
The shift worker who's always on the edge of getting laid off. The cancer survivor who's worried about her pre-existing conditions protections being taken away.
His name.
Let me tell you
is
something,
Hasan.
Pennsylvania. This I know to be true. Joe and Kamala will protect your health care and expand Medicare and make insurance more affordable for everybody.
Oh, you're such a big man, Hasan.
You know, Republicans love to say right before an election that they'll protect your pre-existing
Isn't that
conditions.
Just darling.
Now, Joe and I actually protected your policies to make sure people with pre-existing conditions could get health insurance and have coverage. We did it through something called the Affordable Care Act, AKA Obamacare.
His name
And
is Hasan.
You
Republicans
genuinely became
tried
my
to
favorite tech streamer,
repeal
and I
or
appreciate
undermine
you
it
for
more
King
than
AF
60
moves you have been
times.
making. Keep it up, brother.
And
Tech,
when they've been asked about it, they keep on promising we're going to have a great replacement. They said it's coming. It's been coming in 2 weeks for the last 10 years. Where is it? Where is this great plan to replace Obamacare? They've had 10 years to do it. There is no plan. They've never had one. Instead, they've attacked the Affordable Care Act at every turn, driving up costs, driving up the uninsured. Now they're trying to dismantle your care in the Supreme Court as we speak, as quickly as they can, in the middle of a pandemic, with nothing but empty promises to take its place. It's shameful. The idea that you would
This is a
take
deranged
health care away from
pervert.
people at the very moment where people need it most, what is the logic of that? There is no logic. Joe knows that the first job of a president is to keep us safe from all threats, foreign, domestic, or microscopic. when the daily intelligence
such a
briefings
big
flash
man,
warning signs
Hasan.
about a virus. A president can't ignore him. He can't be AWOL. Just like when Russia puts bounties on the heads of our soldiers in Afghanistan, the commander-in-chief can't be missing in action. I can tell you this, Joe Biden would never call the men and women of our military suckers or losers. Who does that? He knows these heroes are
His
somebody's
name
children,
is Hasan.
somebody's
I forgot how
spouse,
good
somebody's
Obama was
dad
at
or
public
mom.
speaking. Jesus Christ, he's an actual
He
animal.
understands that. And he's going to restore our standing in the world because he knows that America's true strength comes from setting an example that the world wants to follow. A nation that stands with democracy, not dictators. A nation that can mobilize and inspire others to overcome threats like climate change and terrorism and poverty and disease. And with Joe and Kamala at the helm, you're not going to have to think about the crazy things they said every day. And that's worth a lot. You're not going to have to argue about them every day. It just won't be so exhausting. You might be able to have a Thanksgiving dinner without having an argument. You'll be able to go about your lives knowing that the president is not going to retweet conspiracy theories about secret cabals running the world or that Navy SEALs didn't actually kill bin Laden. Think about that. The president of the United States retweeted that. Imagine. What? We're not going to have a president that goes out of his way to insult anybody who doesn't support him or threaten them with jail. That's not normal presidential behavior. We wouldn't tolerate it from a high school principal. We wouldn't tolerate it from a coach. We wouldn't tolerate it from a coworker. We wouldn't tolerate it in our own family except for maybe crazy uncle somewhere, you know. Yeah, he's I mean, why would we expect and accept this from the President of the United States? And why are folks making excuses for that? Oh, well, that's just him. No. There are consequences to these actions. They embolden other people to be cruel and divisive and racist. And it frays the fabric of our society. And it affects how our children see things. And it affects the ways that our families get along. It affects how the world looks at America. That behavior matters. Character matters. And by the way, while he's doing all that, it distracts all of us from the truly destructive actions that his appointees are doing all across the government, actions that affect your lives.
Oh, you're such a big
You know, the Environmental
man,
Protection
Hasan.
Agency that's supposed to protect our air and our water is right now run by an energy lobbyist that gives polluters free rein to dump unlimited poison into our air and water. The Labor Department, that's supposed to protect workers and their rights. Right now, it's run by a corporate lobbyist who's declared war on workers. Guts protections to keep essential folks safe during a pandemic. Makes it easier for big corporations to shortchange them on their wages. The Interior Department, that's supposed to protect our public lands and wild spaces, our wildlife and our wilderness. And right now that's run by an oil lobbyist who's determined to sell them to the highest bidder. You've got the Education Department that's supposed to give every kid a chance And that's run by a billionaire who guts rules designed to protect students from getting ripped off by for-profit colleges and stiff-arm students looking for loan relief in the middle of an economic collapse. I mean, the person who runs Medicaid right now is doing their best to kick people off of Medicaid instead of sign them up for Medicaid. Come on. When Joe and Kamala are in charge, they're not going to surround themselves with hacks and lobbyists, but they're going to appoint qualified public servants who actually care about looking out for you, for your job, for your family, for your health, for your security, for your planet. And that, more than anything, is what separates them from their opponents. They actually care about every American, including the ones that don't agree with them. And they're going to fight for you every day. They care about you, and they care about this democracy.
His name
This guy
is
should run for
Hasan.
president.
In a democracy, the right,
Seems like he's saying a lot of good stuff.
and that we shouldn't be making people wait in line for 10 hours to cast their ballot. We should be making it easier for everybody to vote.
Can't believe my streamer played with the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez last night. You've come far, poo-poo, and you too, chat peepo kiss.
They believe that no one, especially the
His
president,
name is
above the
Hasan.
law. They understand that protest on behalf of social justice isn't un-American. That's the most American thing there is. That's how this country was founded.
Bismillah,
Protesting
14 months.
injustice.
It's been a fun ride so far, no dono wall.
They understand we don't threaten our political opponents, threatening to throw them in jail just because we disagree with them. They understand that our ability to work together to solve big problems like a pandemic depends more than on just photo ops. It depends on actually learning the facts and following the science and not just making stuff up whenever it's convenient. Our democracy is not going to work if the people who are
Says the
supposed to
fucker
be
who
our
appointed
leaders
Wall Street to his cabinet after the 2008
lie every
crash.
day and just make things up. I mean, and we've just become numb to it. We just become immune to it every single day. Fact checkers can't keep up. And look, this notion of truthfulness and democracy and citizenship and being responsible, these aren't Republican or Democratic principles, they're American principles. They're what most of us grew up learning from our parents and our grandparents. They're not white or black or Latino or Asian values, they're American values.
Yeah.
Human values. And we need to reclaim
like
them.
getting the entire Goldman lineup to be responsible for the recovery efforts that offered parachutes to CEOs in the aftermath of a housing market crash that they facilitated. These are American values.
But to do it,
Refusing to
gotta turn out like never before.
prosecute war criminal administrations,
leave any doubt
even
in
after
this
you ran
election.
on closing Guantanamo Bay and doing
you
something
know
about righting America's wrongs of the past,
president's already
not
said-
doing that immediately and saying we must look forward, American
make
values.
stuff up. He's already started to do it. So we can't have any doubt. We can't be complacent. I don't care about the polls. There were a whole bunch of polls last time. Didn't work out because a whole bunch of folks stayed at home
This is a deranged
and got lazy and complacent. Not this time. Not in this election.
Yeah,
Not this time.
all the fucking Zoomer left that was like too young to recognize
I love the
Obama
system. I can now
when
remove
they
the
were
tinfoil hat.
growing up
China
now
Obama
are
is really
understanding
starting
why
to
all of
throw
us were so
speech.
libbed up back in the day, I guess.
Why a lot of Americans can get frustrated by government and can feel like it doesn't make
You
difference.
Zoomers never grew up with like actually competent
supporters of mine
and charismatic Democratic
During my
Party
years, there were
leadership.
times where
or weren't
stuff we
paying
wanted to
attention
get
when
done
this
didn't
was
get done.
happening.
People said, well,
This motherfucker sold us a lie so well.
If Obama didn't get it done, then, you know, maybe it's just not going to happen.
I'm sorry. I'm out of control. I
Look,
apologize
government
for that.
is not going
Did you
to
see
solve
the
every
God
problem.
has
It's
5
true.
million views? All of them from Ben
Every
Shapiro
elected
tugging
official is
his
going to
tube
make
ring.
some mistakes. This is a big, complicated country, and the system's designed so that change happens slowly. It doesn't happen
Such a
overnight.
Big man, Hasan.
No, I didn't vote for
And believe
Obama
me,
in
I've got
2008. I was too
firsthand
young.
experience with the way
I didn't even vote
Republicans
for
in
him in
Congress
his re-election. I didn't
abuse the
vote.
rules to make it easy for special interests to stop progress.
We're going to follow you right back.
But we can make things better.
Hassan, can
And
you
we
please stop looking
we
at
sure
the
shouldn't be
phone and
making
leaving your
things
green
worse.
Kellogg's cereal box?
A president by himself can't solve every challenge in a global economy. But if we've got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House and a House and Senate that are focused on working people, it can make a difference and get
His name
millions of
is
people the help they
Hasan.
need. A president by himself can't eliminate all racial bias
This is a
in our
deranged
criminal justice system, but
Love
if
you,
we've
Piker.
got district attorneys and states attorneys and
Guys,
sheriffs
I've been fucking voting now.
and police
Shut the
chiefs
fuck
focused
up.
on equality
I'm
and
voting
justice,
super hard
it
now.
can make things
Suck
better.
my dick. In 2008, I was in Turkey, idiots.
In Pennsylvania, you just got to flip 9 seats in your state house, just 5 seats in your state senate to give Democrats control and new life for policies that will make a real difference to working families right now. It can make things better.
He's doing so
And-
incredibly
and
well. It's wild.
In the end, Pennsylvania, that's what voting's about. Making things better. Not making things perfect, but putting us on track so that a generation from now we can look back and say, things got better starting now. And that's what voting's about. Voting's about using the power we have and pooling it together to get a government that's more concerned and more responsive and more focused on you and your lives and your children and your grandchildren and future generations. And the fact that we don't get 100% of what we want right away is not a good reason not to vote. It means we've got to vote and then get some change and then vote some more and then get some more change and then keep on voting until we get it right.
Yeah, putting this on Fox News is a mistake.
And we will never come close to seeing what it would be like if everybody voted. When I hear people saying, well, I don't know, your voting doesn't make a difference. We don't know because usually no more than half the people who could be voting vote. We get 50, 55% of people voting, and then people say, well, look, you know, not enough change happened. Well,
This is a deranged
imagine what would happen if
pervert.
60%
Love your
voted.
content, bro. Keep it up.
What about 70%? Imagine January 20th.
Bro,
when
you
we
were
swear
literally
in
the
a
president for 8
and a
years.
vice president.
Like, why didn't you solidify?
His name is Hasan.
Why didn't you fucking
Thanks for
solidify?
educating
I mean,
me to
I
be a
guess
better
they gutted the Voting Rights Act in a second term, and at that point he didn't have like
You care about working
he
America.
didn't really have all that much power with an obstructionist Senate, but still, like, could have done something. Could have at least made a big stink about it.
And believe in not discriminating against people because of their sexual orientation.
But his first term, he
And are
certainly
willing
did. But
to
maybe at
bring
that
us
point he
closer
thought,
to an
maybe at that
America
point he
where
thought
no
that the Voting
matter
Rights
what
Act
we
would never
look
be
like, where we
compromised.
come from, and who we love, and what our last name is, if we go out there and we work, we can make it. And we're part of an American family. All of that is possible. All of that is within our reach if we vote. Because let me tell you something, Pennsylvania, some people ask me sometimes, they say, man, how have you been able to take it these last 4 years, just watching all this? How do you keep your spirits up? And I tell them, I say, look, for all the times these last 4 years that we've seen our worst impulses revealed,
This is a deranged.
we've also seen what our country can be at its best. We've seen folks of every age and background who've packed city centers and airports and town squares just so families wouldn't be separated. So another classroom wouldn't get shot up. So our kids wouldn't grow up on an uninhabitable planet. We've seen Americans of all races joining together to declare in the face of injustice that Black Lives Matter. No more but no less, so that no child in this country feels the continuing sting of racism. We've seen folks, our essential workers, our healthcare workers, risking their lives day in, day out to save somebody else's loved ones. We've seen people volunteer and contribute to help those who are having an especially difficult time right now. That's true in Pennsylvania. That's true all across the country. America is a good and decent place. But we've just seen so much noise and nonsense that sometimes it's hard for us to remember. Philadelphia, I'm asking you to remember what this country can be, what it's like when we treat each other with respect and dignity, what it's like when our elected officials actually behave responsibly. I'm asking you to believe in Joe's ability, in Kamala's ability to lead this country.
And through their
out of
sheer
these dark
competence,
times.
they will be able to bring back our deportation numbers to 358,000 annually, as I did under my 8-year tenure.
Aren't getting the
Donald Trump's
education they need
numbers
right now.
pale
We can't
in
abandon
comparison.
those protesters who inspired us. We've got to channel their activism into action. We can't just imagine a better future. We've got to fight for it. We've got to out-hustle the other side. We've got to outwork the other side. We've got to vote like never before and leave no doubt. So make a plan right now for how you're going to get involved and vote. Do it as early as you can. Tell your family, tell your friends how they can vote. Don't stop with Joe and Kamala. Make sure you vote all the way down the ticket. And if we pour all our efforts into these 13 days, if we vote up and down the ticket like never before, then we will not only elect
So
Joe Biden,
good. Oh, shit.
we will also leave no doubt about what this country that we love stands
So
for.
freaking good, dude.
We will not
I'm
leave any
voting.
doubt about who we
I'm
are
so
as a
libbed
people
up right now, you don't
and the
understand.
values and ideals that we embrace. What Lincoln called the better angels of our nature, those are still in us. We see them operating every single day. We see them in neighborhoods. We see them in churches and synagogues and mosques and temples. We see them in people helping out a neighbor. We see them inside our own families. We see that what is best in us is still there. But we've got to give it voice. And we've got to do it now. So let's get to work, people. Let's bring this home. I love you,
So
Philadelphia. Honk if you're fired up. Honk if you're ready to go. Are you fired up? Are you ready to go? Are you fired up? Are you ready to go? Let's go make it happen. I love you, Philadelphia. Thank you.
God damn, that was good as fuck. I want to see Fox News mauling right now. I need to see takes. I need to see Fox News copium right this moment. Give it to me. I need that copium inhalant pronto, dude. They are going to be... They probably won't even cover it after. I mean, they literally ran it. I wonder if they'll cover it. Oh, they didn't have it on their TV? I need to see that copium, dude. Pronto. Just Trump's rally is coming up soon. We got back-to-back rallies here, folks. We got back-to-back. Oh, Jesus Christ. These guys this is a 50K Andy before Trump is even live. This is a crazy rally. Holy shit, North Carolina. A lot of people. All right, I'll see the libbed up CNN take.
Former President of the United States, Barack Obama, clearly still has it. Speaking for a little bit more than a half an hour, he made it clear, abundantly clear, why he believes this, in his words, is the most important election of our lifetime. Speaking in Philadelphia with a drive-in crowd, almost like a drive-in theater there, socially distant folks, he spoke passionately, made the case, a powerful case, why Joe Biden should be the next president of the United States. And he included a very, very damning, very brutal attack on the current president of the United States, a point-by-point takedown on so many issues. Lies every day, he said. He makes things up.
Friend of the show, Ethan Klein, just dropped the hottest mixtape of 2020 on the Quarter Pounder.